What is happening there, Reject Nation? We're gonna watch today from Ryan George over at Pitch Meeting, The Matrix Resurrections. We got the window open. Did you know in The Matrix Revolution, when it rains, there's actually Matrix code written into the rain? Isn't that interesting? Ladies and gentlemen, you might have seen a review for this. John and I have had extensive talks about this one movie off camera. And I'll say, I watched it again on Christmas. It's better.
Hey, I'll take it.
It's better the second time around. I actually watched Screen Crush's Ryan Arias Easter egg breakdown. That one made me really appreciate the deeper meanings and themes a lot more. I watched that first, and then I did my rewatch. Yeah, I get it more. This first half is better. But no, let's leave it at that.
No, let's make this video only about that.
Let's just make it a second opinion review.
Yeah.
No. It was it's fun. Okay, guys. Let's watch this.
So, you have a fourth Matrix movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. And I have to say, it was tough to crack this one because of how the trilogy, ended and the story was complete and all done. Right. The story was over. It was done with. But you figured out how to bring it back? I did, sir. I kinda did. Amazing. So let's hear it. Right, so we're gonna meet an older Neo, right? And he's a famous video game developer who made a super popular trilogy called The Matrix. Oh. And the trilogy is done, the story's complete, but the decision makers are forcing him to make a fourth one. Right. And he doesn't want to do it, but his boss is like, Warner Bros. Are going to make this fourth one with or without us. Do we have a problem here? You tell me. You want to take this outside, buddy? I would love to take this outside. Well, then let's take this outside. Fine with me. This is nice. Yeah, fresh air, right? Makes a huge difference in my mood. Gets stuffy in there sometimes. It does, yeah. Well, we should get back, though. So yeah, I figured we could spend a good chunk of the movie making fun of unnecessary sequels, just being very self-aware about the cash grabbiness of it all. Okay, but just to be sure so I can tell the shareholders, we're still gonna do that, right? We are, yeah, but by being self-aware about the cash grab, we make the cash grab clever. Oh, I love it. Take a big meta crap all over me. I can take it. Meta craps are tight. All right, so anyway, Neo has no choice but to make this fourth Matrix game.
I just want to point out something that occurred to me on a rewatch. I think this movie might have been better in the way how Ryan George started off with this pitch meeting from just going to Neo. If we did not have that first 10 minutes and it just solely starts off and Keanu Reeves' perspective, like that's the kickoff point, and then you're seeing the meta-ness and then it's having you mess with your mind a little bit. Was the Matrix trilogy real or not? Was it just this guy's imagination, Thomas Anderson from the first movie? Is that all we were watching? Of course we're going to know as audience, like eventually we're going to find out the Matrix is real. We know that, but it would thrust you into that perspective, whereas when you have that first 10 minutes, it's already telling you, no, the Matrix is real. It's real. And I think some of the meta-ness and things that were a little bit debated might have worked a little bit better for more audiences. Imagine that's the first time you see Morpheus and you're just in Neo's shoes. Like, what the hell? He's just coming out of the bathroom. He doesn't even look like Lawrence Fishburne, It's throwing you into that feeling of what the fuck? Constantly doing that as opposed to we know already what's going on.
Be a much more compelling mystery.
And then you could go to the flashback later on. Anyway, I wasted too much time doing that. I'm pitching my pitch for my slight tweak in the script.
Fans will accept any improvement.
So anyway, Neo has no choice but to make this fourth Matrix game, but he also feels like he's losing his mind a little bit. Oh, he does? Yeah, he's not sure what's real or not, and his therapist is making him take these blue pills. Oh, that's part of the IP. It is, yeah. So we're gonna spend a bunch of the movie just pretty much remaking the first Matrix movie, but slightly different. What do you mean? Well, we're gonna kind of discover what the Matrix is. The audience already knows what the Matrix is. They do, yeah. So we're gonna show them again and also just play a bunch of clips from the first movie. Sure, why not? We do own those. Oh, we're gonna have Morpheus in the movie, except it's not him, except it is, and he's played by a different actor. Oh, and what's he gonna do? He's gonna be in the movie. Amazing. Oh, and we're gonna have Agent Smith in the movie, except it's not him, except it is, and it's played by a different actor. Oh, and what's he gonna do? Also in the movie, sir. I love it.
They kind of explained why Morpheus is different, because it's like a code that Neo created, a little bit of Agent Smith mixed into there.
Yeah.
So they well justified
residual
that.
self-image thing. And
Yeah. Even though I didn't really feel like he amounted to much of a character after a certain point. But Jonathan Groff did not bring anything special to it or anything menacing. In fact, none of the movie brought anything tension or menacing to it. I think that's a big problem for the film. And I think Jonathan Groff, he's having fun, but his character also is like, well, it's kind of similar to the way Neil Patrick Harris is also behaving in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're playing white guy villains.
And being that this is a computer world, then that makes it feel like you're just generic codes.
Well, eventually this team of real-world characters are going to discover Neo in the Matrix, so they arrange this big rescue operation to get him out of the Matrix, again. Wow, so what do they need him for? Not much, really.
Oh, yeah, just kind of want to get him out of there. It's a legend. Kind of low stakes. Kinda, yeah. He wakes up in a gooey pod again, and he sees that Trinity is still in a pod right next to him.
Now, she was an important character. She sure was, sir. And when Neo was still in the Matrix, he kept encountering Trinity, except her name was Tiffany, and she had like a whole family, which was super weird. Very weird. So then Neo's gonna talk to Niobe from the other sequels, except she's super old now. Oh, how come? Well, sir, turns out 60 years have passed, and there was a whole machine civil war, and some of the machines sided with humans. Wow, that actually sounds like a really interesting movie, right?
Anyway, so back to this. So he was going to meet Sati.
So I think a lot of people find that compelling because that's when you're seeing the actual sequel of The Matrix in a way. Like, what has become of the world, the real world post this?
And it's just a flashback cutaway.
That's when the movie slows down. It seems to start to do some interesting stuff.
It is an element that feels like it wants to be another movie that's crammed into the middle of this faster moving, differently paced and tonalized movie.
That's what I thought was strange, is because when you're in the Matrix for the first half, it's all meta and yada 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 and a little bit wacky, and then you go into the real world, start getting some interesting developments about the future of what's happened, and then the machines having like a civil war amongst themselves, and then when they go back into the Matrix, it's just like, now we're trying to go back to being self-aware.
None of that matters, and also we're not going to bring any of that tone and circumstance here.
That's when I said, like, I feel like this movie started becoming what it was making fun of now. We're clearly using this pitch meeting to give a semi-spoiler review.
So Neo's gonna meet Sati, who was a little girl that he spoke to in the third movie. All right. And she explains that somehow he and Trinity were resurrected. So Neo's like, oh, I gotta go save Trinity. She's still in the Matrix. Oh, yeah? Yeah, because see, if he doesn't get her out of the Matrix, she might take her fake Matrix kids to soccer practice or something. That does sound awful. So Neo and that team of characters head back into the Matrix, and they encounter a bunch of exiled programs they have to fight. Oh boy, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And obviously we'll get Keanu to do a bunch of incredible hand-to-hand combat. Something wrong. Well, his schedule's kinda nuts these days. I don't know how much fight choreography we can really do with him. Oh, okay. Is that all right? Kind of a big part of the Matrix movies. Right, so not a huge deal. Kind of a huge deal. Oh, you know what? Maybe he can move things with his mind. Kind of a force push situation. Okay, yeah, sure. So whenever Neo gets into some kind of conflict, he kind of just force pushes people away from him just over and over and over again. That'll be very fun to watch. It might be. Let's roll the dice. Yeah, roll them. So eventually Neo's gonna see his therapist, who it turns out is this program called the Analyst, who made this new Matrix. Okay. And he's gonna kind of trap him in time using the power that defined Neo against him, bullet time. Wasn't bullet time the name of the filming technique to show Neo's abilities and not the ability itself? That's certainly possible. So this guy's gonna use bullet time. Oh, very cool. And he's gonna explain that keeping Neo and Trinity close together could power the Matrix, but if they got too close, they became too powerful. All right. And eventually they do get close.
It's like
now
Hancock.
they need to escape the Matrix together.
I know we don't see eye to eye on Neil Patrick Harris at all. Have you seen all of How I Met Your Mother?
Haven't seen the final season save for the last episode.
For me, it just felt like he was doing Barney, but one of Barney's evil plans. I couldn't see the character of the Analyst. Sure. I just saw only Neil Patrick Harris doing the evil act. When I was listening to some of the decision making and the theology behind what he was doing, there's something really interesting there. But it's Neil Patrick Harris who's distracting the shit out of me every time I watch. I'm like, all I see is Neil Patrick Harris acting. Yeah.
I can't sit here and go, I don't see it, man. I guess maybe How I Met Your Mother is not fresh in my mind right
And then
now.
also
But for whatever
Harold
reason,
and
I
Kumar.
bought him as a character who, is pretty adjacent to Neil Patrick Harris. For the time being, I was more with it than I guess you were. I don't think it's so good that I can't imagine how you feel that way.
But John, I disagree with you, so you know I'm looking down on you.
Yeah, that's right, man. I
judge
feel
you.
so attacked right now.
Oh boy, do they have agents after them?
No, agents aren't really a thing anymore. Now they use this thing called swarm mode.
Swarm mode?
Yeah, see, what they do is they take over a bunch of people and kind of turn them into zombies that just throw themselves at the good guys.
So now the machines waste a bunch of batteries instead of just a few. That's their new strategy, yeah.
So then Neo, I guess,
Fair
uses
point.
his force push a whole bunch.
Very exciting.
And that's going to lead to him and Trinity needing to jump off a building.
Oh man, it's gonna be hard to get out of that situation.
Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
Yes, he turns out Trinity can fly.
Oh.
Yeah, used to be Neo, now it's Trinity, so that's how that, that works out.
Why?
Because that works. And so, yeah, that's about it. What do you think?
Well, it's, what's the story exactly?
How can I explain, have you ever had a dreams where you want them to do you so much you can do anything?
Yes, of course. So pretty much that. Okay, got it. Well, sounds good. It's a Matrix movie, so it's gonna kill at the box office. You know it.
It killed itself. Ha ha. Ha ha.
Yes, this is
To
definitive proof that I was wrong.
65% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Objective proof I was
Ha-ha,
wrong to
everyone.
have enjoyed this movie.
Everyone, it got better the second time around. Let me just put it to you like this. When I do another Matrix rewatch, I will put Matrix Resurrections on.
Wow.
And then be like, it's even worse when you watch it back to back.
I can imagine that scenario coming to pass.
What is the plot of this movie?
What is the point of the film?
What is the plot?
I can't remember what pitch meeting, but I think it was a pitch meeting where one of the ways he described a movie was like, what if we took a bunch of scenes from different scripts and just shuffled them all together? And as much as I enjoyed it, I can absolutely see that as an apt way to describe the Matrix Resurrections. It is kind of a whole bunch of different things. It feels like a bunch of different writers attacked the same premise, and then they mixed all 5 of those writers' pages together. Because it's hard to discern what the main point is. Maybe ultimately where I will fall on this movie is that I appreciate it very much as a piece of audiovisual art. Maybe not as much. And maybe more, I don't know, but maybe ultimately not as much as just a satisfying, movie.
Well, more people like it than they don't. So,
Yeah, so I'm right.
so Matrix won.
I'm right.
They won again. The Warner Brothers won. Guys, what did you think about Space Jam 3 Resurrections? Leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe, click that bell. Make sure to subscribe to the brilliant Ryan George. We'll catch you guys soon.